Microphone check. 1, 2. What is this? Am I alone? Might be. If you're here, welcome. Salam. What do I say? Khosh umadin. Khosh umadin. And we'll see. We'll see how many people show up for this live stream. My settings look good. I see a hello from Ryan. Hi. I am taking my life in my hands with this live stream today. So, and you can hear me. This is good. Ads already. What the? Okay, that's not good. Hold on. Okay, Vincent, I don't know, because I set this where it should be that I determine when ads roll, and I have not determined an ad roll. So this is not great. Sorry about that. The fraction of a cent that I get from you watching an ad is not worth interrupting it. So really sorry about that. I see microphone's good. Hi there to everybody. Hopefully you guys don't get ads. I'm going to keep trying to work this out because it's fine on the replay, but live, I don't want you missing things. And for a couple of cents or a fraction of a cent, it's not worth it. I see video check, sound check. I'm hoping you're all saying that you actually can hear me. That's like sound check and not like do a sound check. Okay. Just as the stream started, it should be none at the beginning, no mid-roll ads, nothing. Salam from Not Exactly CF. By the way, I'm drinking out of my Rosetta Stone mug because I have this from back when I worked for them. Their Persian course is not bad. You hear formal formal speech, but it is from native speakers. Not exactly what I'm looking for this, which is why I'm not using it right now, but not terrible. And I'm drinking a Kenya Uhura from Plowshares Coffee. Now, I am taking I see Khobi. I am taking my life in my hands with this live stream. I received a message on YouTube. I don't know if YouTube has actually taken it down yet, but hopefully they have. But I received one. I'm going to read it to you. And we're going to dedicate our learning to this person here. So I like the tradition of dedicating your learning to someone. Chubak Bidpa wrote on the live stream too, "Hey Jew, don't make it sad. Hey Jew, you study," and then all caps, "my Aryan language," back to lowercase once more, and you are history. Understood? So what I'd like to do is take some inspiration from that and maybe learn some of these words. Anybody know how to say history in Persian? That's what I asked in my response was, how do you say the word history in Persian? I believe it's borrowed from Arabic, but I don't know it offhand. And I'd like to learn that. Understood should be, like if I understand, that's, what is that, midunam? So if I don't, it's ne midunam, right? Is that correct? Leave me a comment in the chat. I see in the chat people talk about Rosetta Stone. I got to give full disclosure, right? I did used to work for them. I felt like I was getting over on them because I worked in Grand Central, which I found out was slightly radioactive. The Gray Bar Passage, it's like a fun fact about it. And the article about it says you don't have to worry because nobody would spend 8 hours a day, 5 days a week in that passage for years on end. And that's the only way that it could affect you. So maybe my superpowers in language learning come from low-level radioactive exposure that exceeds the safety measures for a nuclear power plant in the United States while studying language. I see in the chat, famidam for understanding. So like mifhamam, like famidam I understood from Arabic roots. Okay, perfect, makes sense. So anyway, I did used to work for Rosetta Stone. They said, if you use the software when people walk by, then they can see how it works and, you might get people interested. So I was like, wait a minute. You want to pay me like not much and then commission so that I sit here and just study languages all day? And they're like, yeah. Or like, sell the software. Like, okay. So that's what I did. After a few years, I started right before the recession, by the way. So it was like the 2008 recession. I guess I should clarify. So it was like great. Like people were just like, it was, black metal Amex cards just thrown down and be like, I'll take 5. And I was like, which language? Any 5, I don't care. 2008 comes around, that stopped being so great. But I sat there and I, after a couple of years, was also like, hey, shouldn't I do market research on the opposition? People are asking me about these textbooks. People are asking me about Pimsleur. Why don't I use, the new Practical Chinese Reader so I can compare and contrast? And they seemed skeptical, rightfully so, but actually then agreed. So I'm pretty happy about that. I see in the chat, where's the location of the real Rosetta Stone? Currently, it is in the British Museum. That is not where it's from, but that is where it lives now. All right, so let's get into some Persian. I'm doing a little bit different today. I'll tell you all what I've been up to over the last week, and then I am going to kind of get to a slightly different task. I see in the chat that's messed up about the Rosetta Stone, about working for Rosetta Stone, or about the death threats. Who knows? It's a world we live in. So let's see. I have my my textbook here. I see in the chat Tarikh is history. That makes sense to me. So man Tarikh nistam. I'm not history, right? I'm gonna be. May I and the guy who wrote this, I was reading it from my cell phone, may he, live a long, happy life and come to find the joy and the solace that he's seeking in life without having to yell at me on YouTube. So let's get into some learning. I see in the chat, where would it be if not the British Museum? Yeah, any historical artifact. If it's cuneiform or, hieroglyphics or any sort of Near Eastern artifact, why wouldn't it be in the British Museum? All right, so let me see if I can share my screen. Tell you what I got up to in the last week or so, and then I'm going to come back to this. What page am I? I'm on page 11. I don't need to be on page 11 anymore. So I went through chapters 4 and 5 of this textbook, or 5 and 6 rather, and I will make sure that you can see it as well. Let me get my OBS here. Okay, so I'm going to kind of skip down here. We did quite a few pages, so I think I was on page like 50 or something. Like, let me see. And yeah, so we last week we talked about like what'd you do last weekend and some of this fun stuff. We talked about the direct object marker ro and how it reduces to o or ro in various places. I went on to the next chapter and the chapter after that and just started kind of poking around with that stuff. The way that I do this is I kind of go back and forth. So I'll look at chapter 4, and then I'll go back and really dig into the grammar, make sure I understand it, and test myself on chapter 2. Then I'll skim chapter 3 again. Then I'll go back to chapter 4 and read it again. Then I'll go to chapter 5 and just skim it. Like I'll look around, see like what grammatical concepts are they going to teach, what's the vocabulary look like, without reading the dialogues and all of that. And then I'll come back to it, and I work my way around. So there's some interesting stuff. In these next 2 chapters, we start getting into, I feel like chapters 5 and 6 are where it started getting not necessarily complicated, but where you could start to put things together and really start to communicate. So a couple of things that I liked. One is all the French loanwords. So there's this one is, I guess theoretically it's like emergency services, and she telephoned for an ambulance for her husband who was just fallen down the stairs. This is very dramatic. Maybe they're attempting to like lock this into our brains. I don't know. And they have, all these questions. So adresse tun chie. So address, that's got to be a loan word. Pelak, definitely a loan word. Appartement, definitely a loan word. But I noticed there's all these fun loan words too, like ascenseur darid. Do you have an elevator? That's ascenseur in French. So I'm like, it's fun seeing this. It kind of lights up my brain a little bit. I learned that the word for steam heat is chauffage, which is, you see it on the page as like S with a little hatchet on it, and A with the hat on it, and F-A-G with a little hatchet on it. You go, what is this word? And then you say it and you hear chauffage and you go, oh, of course. So one thing that I really am still enjoying about this textbook is like charab. They have taught in the last few lessons, so I'm starting to see it. I can't remember if last week I talked about this. Avoy, which is translated here as oh dear. That is cognate with oh woe in English and oy vey in Yiddish, which I love. Evidently, not everybody knows that oy vey is not an expression of delight. It is very much the opposite of that. And so I remember learning that like last week that some people have been saying oy vey because they learned it from, I guess, visiting New York or Chicago or who knows. And didn't quite learn the scenarios that it's, or the situations where it's appropriate. So I need to be sure, but I'm pretty sure avoy is the equivalent. Feels right. Ape nadore, no problem. And shomore, telephone. So basic stuff. I see in the chat. I learned fast. It's hard to keep up with the Joneses. I'm not, and I want to be clear about how I'm doing this because this is really important. I do not know everything in chapters 1 through 6. I have started to dip my toe into chapter 6, and this coming week I'll dip my toe into 7 and 8. And that's the pace that I'm going at. But what I'm going to do today is actually go back and solidify things from chapter 2. And I'll show you the way that I'm going to do that. This process allows me to weed out things that I don't need to put more work into. But it's also, it makes it so I am kind of feeling my way through everything. I'm reinforcing things. I'm seeing things over and over again. I see Mushkala's problem. Yeah, and they have ape here as well. So ape nadore. I wonder if you can say mushkal nadore. Somebody let me know in the chat. But point being, like, I'm testing myself on some of this stuff, but then I'm going to go back. I like Anki. Some of you might not. That's completely fine. I find that spaced repetition works for me if I make it work for me. I will be using a little bit of Gabriel Weiner's approach, which I think I mentioned him last week. He's a he's one of those names in the sort of polyglot sphere of things, but he's really good. Like his book is actually pretty solid advice, and it's not the easiest thing in the world to do. But when you do it, it actually works, and so that's sort of what I'm trying to do here. It's not an endorsement of his software or anything, but I did like Fluent Forever, and I like his approach. I'm going to adapt some of it here. So one of the things that I went over is prepositions. You'll notice there's a pattern here where there's sort of an izafa construction, right? You have ruye, zire, so tuye. If there's a vowel, you have the ya. If there's not a vowel, you have e. So ruye, zire, tuye, dar. These I'm just memorizing. Zir might be like nader, kind of like, that's a mnemonic for me that feels close enough, but I don't know if that works for you all. Jeloye is fantastic. I looked this up. It's related to an old word for a bridle, for your reins. So your horse's reins are in front of you. That's jeloye. My mnemonic for it is just a plate of jello in front of me, but the etymology I think is interesting. Birun, outside. Baloye, this one sticks out to me because above or over top of something is balo, which is like not quite to the level of Hebrew, but like it's very much like this word means this word. He means she, who means he, me means who. Like it's that kind of thing in Hebrew. This is close enough to that word. Balo is above. Paluya is next to. Poshte I like because it is literally directly related to post, as in posterior. So it's a freebie, and it's a freebie through like Indo-European. It inherited post from the same word that Latin inherited post from. I believe. You never know with these things. Sometimes you say something like that and you find out that it's just complete coincidence. Pretty sure post is actually cognate. Poyin, I'm remembering with pause. The problem is I get annoyed at mnemonics, but they work, and so I feel a little of two minds about this. Same thing. I'm just going through this kenare by the side of, dachele inside of, ruberuye. So ru is on, ruberu is like on by on, which makes perfect sense to me. I see in the chat, balo feels like a word that would mean above. Balo reminds me of the sky, maybe a balloon floating above. I don't know. And then we have here tarafe chape and tarafe roste. Rost related to right. Dorost is correct. Right, also right. And then like to prepare something, which I guess theoretically in English also can be like to write something, like to make it proper. So they have exercises here. I will add these probably next week or the week after, and I'll show you what I'm doing with this kind of stuff with the exercises shortly. I'm going to get to that pretty soon. So they talked about moving from cardinal to ordinal. That's not super hard. You just add here's an interesting thing. So you have yek do se. I don't know why I sound like I'm speaking Cantonese now. And then aval dovom sevom. Chahor panj, you get chaharom, panjom, bistoyak, bistoyakom. So it's and and I see watching this without learning Persian is just causing my brain to tell me to learn this new language now. I just watched a interview with Stephen Krashen. I'm going to make a video about him because I think a lot of people get his research wrong. A lot of the YouTube like language learning people talk about Krashen, but they don't seem to fully understand what he seems to be saying. Anyway, I watched an interview with him, and he talks about there being certain kinds of people. I think I am one of them, where you hear a language, you see a language, you just want to learn it. Like, oh, they're talking in Vietnamese. I want to learn Vietnamese. Like, I watched a video of a woman saying food words in Vietnamese and joking about how sexy it sounds. And she's saying, spaghetti and or spaghetti and donut. And I'm like, man, I got to learn Vietnamese. I feel like there's two kinds of people, and my tribe is those that you hear something new and you go, that's cool. I want to learn that. So what I want to point out is these irregularities here. Oh, real quick, I see. Do I have an affiliate ID in my book link? I should have an affiliate ID in the book link, an Amazon affiliate link. There's definitely one of the first, and I will make sure that it's added to the chat, to the what's it called? The description, once this is done. This is like, I'm finding this is helping me learn and retain material, but it's very cognitively taxing to do a live stream while you're learning. So when I'm stuttering over words, last week I couldn't think of PSA, which is like it's not even PSA, PCA, Principal Components Analysis, which is like a statistical thing that I used in my dissertation. I've been using for years and years. I just couldn't think of the words. Yeah. So I see Yakomin, and oh, that's nice. All right. The chat is great. So what I want to point out here is an interesting thing. Yek and then aval, completely irregular. Do and dovom, se, sevom, and then choharom, panjom, everything gets regular. This is cross-linguistically a thing that happens, and knowing that for me makes it easier to remember. So I remember reading Bernard Comrie, does a lot of work on typology, linguistic typology. And he has a great introduction to linguistic typology. And one of the things that he talks about is like adjective, noun, verb. Like these are more fluid categories than we sometimes want to think that they are. And what happens is like in Russian, which is the example that he gives, the number one is like pure adjective. It takes adjectival agreement. You have to decline it for case and number and all those things. And then as you get higher up, you start seeing it switches to like not just adjectival agreement in the nominative, but it's like it becomes the number actually takes the genitive case. It becomes like nouny. And that's the same kind of thing that you see here where like the lower numbers tend to be a little bit weirder. There's a little bit of irregularities here. So do, dovom, se, sevom, and then you just get after everything else, where it's like the higher the numbers get, the more regular they get. And this is similar with verbs. The verbs that you use the most often and that you learn the earliest in your childhood, in your first language, those are the ones that tend to retain or have the most irregularities, which means that like the most common verbs that you're going to learn, you're going to have to learn all these irregulars. But the less common something is, the more regular native speakers make it, because like we're trying to kind of rederive it on the fly, possibly. That's one theory about it. So, and you see this with like compound nouns and so on. So one example that I've seen a lot is like cast. the passive cast, like C-A-S-T in English, is cast. Like I cast a net over the sea. But you will see things like I casted a play, and definitely like they broadcasted this yesterday. More and more from native speakers. That's much more likely than like, they casted a net yesterday. Let's see. Do you know any academic papers about L2 acquisition and ADHD off the top of my head? I don't, and I've been meaning to write to like script a video about that. I don't have ADHD, at least not clinically, but I sometimes joke that I live in that side of town. I'm like just across the county line from ADHD and autism. And I used to joke about linguists being on the academic spectrum, but honestly, there's so many linguists who are on the literal autism spectrum that I started thinking that maybe isn't a funny joke. But there's definitely different approaches. I think linguistics as a field selects for more of the like autism spectrum, like hyper focus and systematizing things and, pattern recognition and maybe not wanting to talk to people out in the world, but just focus on like, analyzing the paradigms. And as far as like the language learning with ADHD, I suspected, I mean, he's never said anything about this. I suspected in watching this interview with Stephen Krashen that he could take a screener for it. He discussed some of the things that, his life, especially before language learning, he discussed having like an overwhelming amount of caffeine for the first time in his 20s and like suddenly finding that he could like focus and like function and he wanted to learn languages and like he turned his whole life around. And having listened to Huberman's podcast about this, like he's got a 2.5 hour thing on ADHD and focus. It's kind of an interesting connection there. So there's a lot going on. I see, as someone with ADHD, I don't find the vocab drilling boring. I find processing the syntax very hard. So I have a lot of ADHD people in my life, and for when I started saying like, oh, we're going to learn a language this way, what works for me doesn't work for them. I like jumping around in the textbook a little bit more, and that's a little bit like, for me, that's more fun. That when self-directed can be really great, but at the same time, you're going to want to find something that works for you. I'm going to do some research on this because I think this is actually really important. It's probably under-researched, but if I can find papers on it, I'll talk about them. And if not, maybe we as a community come up with a couple of research questions and I see if I can work with some people, get IRB approval and like run a study. Why not? I see I can look at a word once and remember it. Let me talk about this for 1 second and then we'll continue. So when I say like I live close to the ADHD side of town, part of that is I like the dopamine hit of a new word, right? A new word in a new language, that is for me a like direct dopamine hit right in my brain. Like it's amazing. Having to then memorize that word is painfully tedious. So I see it once, I go, ooh, that's fun. Sometimes like the fun fact stuff. So like I look at like jaloya as like in front and I'm like, okay, that's fun. Like the fact that it's from like an old term for a bridle, like for your reins, like that's interesting. And that helps kind of lock it into my memory. But when it's just like, memorize these numbers, it is excruciating. And so I try to externalize that. The problem is recognizing is not knowing. And I have some videos in the works where I'm going to be talking about how to learn languages and the process of learning languages, just how to learn anything and then also how to learn languages. Recognizing doesn't mean you know something. Passive recognition is not the ability to produce it. It's on the way there, but it's not there. And I did not know this for a long time. So I would like review textbooks. I'd look at stuff. I'd look at the words and I'd be like, hey, I know those words. But I didn't know those words. I actually couldn't produce them. I just recognized them. And so what I'm trying to do now is figure out how to like develop the skills to be able to produce it. And that means learning, one, about how memory works, and two, about how learning works. There's a YouTube channel by Dr. Benjamin Keep that's really good. I think that's his name. And he has a lot of really interesting stuff on the science of learning. But I'm really trying to combine all of this. I'll put some videos together in the next few months about these things. It has really accelerated my learning as well. And some of it relates to Krashen. The thing about Krashen, just to tie a bow on this, is that He's cited all the time. People talk about comprehensible input as like you got to get just mountains of comprehensible input. That's all you have to do, and then you'll acquire a language. Comprehensible input is one component of a 5-part sort of theory that he has, and by theory I mean not theory in the scientific sense like gravity. It's not as firm as that. It's a set of 5 hypotheses, and if they all are correct, then he's got this fantastic approach to learning. If one of them isn't, then there's a challenge. Now, he seems to be correct, but people really, really, really miss like a lot of the elements that go into this. I see. I'm just talking at you all. I'm looking at the camera, but I haven't actually put my my face here. So hi everybody. So I have on the page here, by the way, chauffage, which I loved. Like I said, I'm going to make some videos about all of this stuff coming up, so I don't want to give away all of it. But the spoiler, the sort of tease for this is that Krashen is more complicated than people give credit for, and is related to Noam Chomsky's research. Everybody calls him Noam, and I don't think that's his name. Just like everybody says Labov, and that's definitely not Bill Labov's name. So let's get into this. I see in the chat, my intuition is that to go from recognition to be able to produce is make isolated sentences with the words, then try to get into conversations where you might need to use those words. That is one way of doing it. I also just test myself on it. I try to generate stuff. I try to babble to myself, talk to myself. Lots of people talk about comprehensible input. Krashen's thing is that you acquire it, which means that studying and trying and all this doesn't really mean anything, and that you just need a tremendous volume of input and it'll percolate in your brain. That is direct contradiction to the critical theory hypothesis, which is an open point of contention in the linguistic literature. So really quickly, what did I learn in the last little while? What did I learn to recognize? I see a lot of people just think watch a lot of TV and your target language is comprehensible input, and it's maybe not. He says read a lot, and I'm like, I don't think I could read a lot in Persian, so we'll figure this out. So what did I learn? I learned the present. You have the present stem, so and how to say the present simple tense, which also is the future, so that's great. You take the present stem, they're all irregular, or almost all irregular. So we take dunastan, which is to know. The present stem is dun, and then you add a stressed prefix, mi. So man midunam, to miduni, u midune. Mo midunim, shamo midunid. So very, very simple. You have the stem, you have the appropriate ending for the person, what we might call phi features in syntax, if anybody's taken that. I see seeing je as a G with a hat as a pain as an Esperanto to be correct. I kind of love it. And then you have this stem, you add your ending, you add your prefix, mi. And the mi is stressed. This is also kind of common feature across languages, well-behaved, where the thing that's really changing the meaning gets emphasis. You don't reduce it. If you want to make it negative, notice you add na, but it's pronounced ne. The reason for this is such a normal language thing that's hard for linguists to explain to non-linguists, because it just makes sense, but then it kind of doesn't make sense, but it does. So here's the deal. Ne, so na is the negation. That takes the stress, and you put that right before this other prefix. Because they're both prefixes, it actually kind of makes sense for the vowels in one to affect the vowels in the other. It's like word boundary, you have the root, and then you have the affixes, the prefixes, suffixes, and then you have a word boundary and so on. Each of those boundaries, from the root to the affixes, from the phonological word to the next word, those potentially create their own sort of phonological areas. I would say domains, but that has sometimes a more technical sense. So the idea here is okay, we're in the sort of prefix area. It makes sense that the vowels affect one another, but they might not affect the vowels in the word, and the word might not affect the vowels in them. So nemidunam. Don't know. Nemidunin. If I take this to an extreme, I get vowel harmony, just like in Finnish. Exactly. Finnish, Hungarian. No, not Hungarian. Turkish. All right, so we have, they talk about a literary ending. If you use Rosetta Stone for Persian, you're going to see this ending, u mikhorad. U michorad. And they say colloquially michore, so that's fine. They also talk about colloquialization. So on becomes un. So dunestan, midune. That's the colloquial way to say these things. That's fine. And then they gave some more stuff. I love this stuff. So raftan, to go. They talk a little bit about like raftam cinema, right? I went to the cinema instead of like man. Is it be cinema raftam? The present. Look at this reduced stem. It's just ra. That's the stem. Formally, it's rav or rao or ro, something like that. But informally, it's just ra. And there's a bunch of these where it's like the stem is not a word that can stand on its own anymore. It's just a single consonant. You get like ga, you get sha, you get da. Those are their own stems that have meaning. Let's look at this. Chordan, to eat or drink. The present stem, chor, super easy to remember. And this has something that I thought was really fascinating. So when I was listening to the audio that goes with this, one of the things is a woman who says that she ate the cake. So we've been over raw as the definite direct object marker. So we know it's cake, raw, what'd you say, chordam, right? I ate the cake. Here's the thing. Ro, we know, gets reduced to O after a consonant. So cake, and the ka is sort of affricated. So keiko. And then following that is cha. Now, anybody know where cha is pronounced relative to ka? It's the same place. It's the velum, right? The back of the tongue, back of the mouth. And that is exactly where, like, if you just reduce that space where you're not having frication anymore, that is where u is pronounced. So she says cake o chordam. But we actually listened to it, and I played this a bunch of times because I was like, wait, what's going on? Because I parsed it as a different word. She said keku chordam. Keku chordam. It's u in between two velars. That's the kind of stuff that I'm trying to listen for. I'm like, I probably won't say it that way. I'm going to be speaking very clumsily and carefully, but I need to know that that's how it's going to happen. This particular speaker also said jashte tavalod instead of jashne tavalod. They teach us jashn is a party, but what I'm hearing when I listen to it is jashte tavalod. I see Nushidan, they don't give you Nushidan. They do later on in the same chapter. So Zadan, Zan to play musical instruments. So they're giving us a bunch of words here. Khundan, also Khon, right, to read. Kardan, that's going to be the most important for all of these light verbs. Check Kardan, like to check something, to do a check. Kor Kardan, to work. Shano Kardan, to swim. Tamasho Kardan, which I remember as a time for my shows, and so on. So they want us to do this with like what days of the week you do things. So that's fine. To check in Farsi is, what is it? Kbaba gereftan? Kbaba? Kbaba? I like, what is this? Yekshambe ho chekor. What does it say? No, I checked my emails in the, so Shabho, email homo, check konam. Or Mikonam. Check Mikonam. So then they have a little bit more asking about family, yada, yada, yada. This I'm still, starting to get comfortable with. Tabestun is summer. That's the best one. And there's all sorts of interesting words that they have in here. So I'm still just looking at the vocabulary for this, but like dars, daudan. So daudan is to give. Just get duh, right? So dars midam. I am teaching. Cool thing is they do use the present for the future. So I can say like I'm teaching a class next week, and that's still dars midam. I see it's first time tuning into your live streams. I'm Iranian linguistics student. Hi. Nice to see other people teach Farsi. Gives you new perspective to your own native tongue. I'm noticing there's a number of Farsi speakers here and Tajik speakers and so on who are just enjoying like the outside perspective, which I didn't expect when I started this live stream. So thanks, and I'm glad that you're all here, and I hope you have some fun. I'm having fun, having a lot of fun. So I'm looking at these two. So let's see. We get our comparative and our superlative here. Kuchek is small, kuchektar younger or smaller, and kuchektarin. So this is very, very well behaved with a handful of the usual exceptions, right? Khub, behtar, behtarin. So good, better, betterest. And then, or, best. You have some words here that are mostly cognate. Barodar, that's brother, and so on. Bache. So a lot of stuff that's going to be really useful right away. Zindagi, and they give you kharid, so on. Then what they do is they want to say, okay, you could add glides and stuff in between vowels, but instead, colloquially, we just collapse the vowels. So mi, aw, where aw is the present stem of, if you can all see this, of umadan. Umadan is to come. So the present stem is aw. So instead of mi, aw, yam, colloquially, a lot of people just say miam. It makes sense. Miai. This is like the very easy way to do it. I see in the chat Farsi is possibly the most beautiful sounding language in the world. I think when native speakers are speaking it, I agree. When it's me, we may have some reservations. I like how khob is irregular the same way as good in English. Yeah, and that's cross-linguistically very common because of it's just so frequently used. These basic terms are always like the most irregular. I see. Wish the best in content creation and academic endeavors. Thank you. They're blurring in my mind now. So this is a really important thing. Miam, miai, miad, miaim, miaid, miand. You're not listening for extra sounds, and this is a thing that I keep trying to hammer home for others. If you're listening for mi, yam, and you hear miam, you may not even know that it's already past you. So same thing here. Add ne, nemiam, and they have a little bit of things. Haruz, ruzi, yekbar, once a day. Hardo, ruz, yekbar, so on and so on and so on. Harsol. So sol, I mentioned it reminds me of the sun, sol. So that's my mnemonic for that. But there's a lot of good stuff that we're getting into. Comparisons. Kuchek Tarin machine, the smallest car. Kuchek Tarin Oz, the youngest member. Bozorg Tarin Shar, the largest city, et cetera, et cetera. Now, I don't have these words memorized, like Garun Tarin Machine, the most expensive car. Garun Tarin, I don't have that locked in. I probably won't be able to say it in 5 minutes if you ask me. So I want to be very clear about that as I'm going through these. Like, there's a process of just seeing, revisiting, and then going through and seeing what I need to memorize and what's already locked in, and then putting a little bit more work into that. So I'm gonna show you a little bit of chapter 6, and then I'm gonna go into the making memorization stuff for myself. So this got into your customs in Iran. Not going to be something that's relevant to me, but all the language is relevant to me. So they have, talking about your passport and so on. I love this. I'm a linguist. I'm working on the sweet Esfahani accent. So that's actually legitimately a sentence that I could just memorize. But one of the things is he talks about, do you have, let's see, maybe it's the next, I think it's the next one. It's like, do you have, what do you have in your bag and so on. So Zabun Shenos, or is it Zabon? Could be. I see in the chat a vote for Russian as the most beautiful language. It's highly personal, whatever your background and preferences are. So let's see. Mundan, mun to stay or remain, tamasho, kon, we have that, raftan. So we're seeing these over and over again. Safar, kordan. Safar, like safari, literally, that's where, they're related. So that's for travel. That's going to be fairly easy to remember. I see in the chat, I think a fun challenge would be to pull up some Persian poems and try to read them. I was going to do that next week, actually. I have Omar Khayyam, and I was going to do a little bit about that coming up. Because what I want to do, obviously, is be polite, use ta'aruf, which is politeness, and be able to actually say something, know a little bit of culture as well, not just, do you have anything you'd like to declare? Present continuous. This is what Rosetta Stone starts with. Um, linguist is called Zabanshenas. Yeah. Okay. So present progressive. I am in the middle of doing this. I am doing. It's ongoing. Yada yada yada. You use doshtan. So man doram. Whatever. Mikonam. Man doram kor mikonam. Man doram. I should learn studying. Is it studying and learning the same? Yod gereftan? Leave me a comment in the chat and I'll check that out. Choshbash, okay. So they make a note here that doram is an auxiliary verb and it comes first. So instead of saying nahar doram michoram, that sounds really weird. You would say like man. Man is optional. Man doram. And it's like the auxiliary verb nahar michoram. Man doram nahar michoram. Man, I can't get it. Man doram nahar michoram. All right. So it makes sense to me. It's like will in English, or am, whatever. So doram bidar misham. Doram bidar misham. I'm waking up. Bidar to become awake, I guess. So I might try to just lock that in. Bidar. I feel like you open the door, right, when you let the sunlight in. I'm not sure what I'll use to memorize that. Studying and reading. Yeah, I should say michunam, right? Like man doram farsi michunam. Man doram ba kitab farsi, lughay farsi michunam. Somebody correct me on that if I'm right or wrong. So they got exercises, and what I wanted to get to was just some of this stuff. We haven't got anything special, mostly clothes and personal belongings, also a few souvenirs. You get the guy joking for me, Baroya man, and then you get be my guest. Sorry, let me get this a little bit clearer. Be my guest, but literally it's not worthy of you, which is qabeli nadare. So qabel is like worth or value. Qabeli nadare. It doesn't have worth. That is a formula. That is like somebody says something, you say, oh, qabeli nadare. I have heard this translated into English as like, it's please take it. Like it's not worthy of you. You should, I don't want it. You should have it. Don't take the thing. If you go into somebody's house and you compliment their tapestry or whatever, and they say, oh, I want you to have it. They don't want you to have it. You just have to say no 3 times. And better if you say it politely, like chohesh mikonam, which is like I pray you. Je vous en prie, right? Meaning is different. It's like I pray you stop saying such things. But like this kind of formula, that's what I'm trying to learn here. I skipped a little ahead too and saw what is it? Dast. Oh, I'm trying to remember this. It's like, may your hand not hurt. When somebody gives you something, oh, may your hand not hurt. And your response is, may your head not hurt. These are sort of cultural shibboleths. So it's like really, I think it's really important to learn this stuff rather than just word for word. Persian is one of those languages too, where you can learn all the words and be able to communicate in a sentence. But if you don't learn the figurative speech, you don't learn qabeli nadare and chohesh mikonam and what was it? It's dastetun dardnakon, right? Is that correct? May your hand not hurt. That's the important stuff. So I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go way back to page like 31 or something, and let's see where I was. I have started with I wasn't even there. I've started in chapter 2, which you'll remember was like way back a couple weeks ago. And I have started going through and just taking things that I might not remember, and I am trying to make sure that I do remember them. So I'm going to come to my main shot for a minute just so I can make sure that I am setting up my screen the way I want it set up. And I will show you how I am using Anki for Farsi. Again, You don't have to use Anki, right? A lot of people hate Anki. That is fine. There's tons of videos that are like, don't use Anki. Whatever, it's fine. It works for me. Might work for you. Um, yeah. So I see in the chat there's some discussion of Patreon. I do have a Patreon. It's patreon.com/languagejones. Let me know, by the way, in these live streams in the chat, what you would like to see, because I just set it up before I even set up the YouTube channel, and I'm not sure that the Patreon levels make sense. So I imitated. There's a I think it's FD Signifier, who has these like hour-long videos on sociology, and he's like, for $3, you gave me $3. I'm like, I'll try it. So I do have a Patreon. Feel free to go check it out. It does help, but please, 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 please give me feedback about what you would like to see, because at the moment, I don't know if I'm offering things that people want to pay for. So there you have it. Okay, a note on Tarof, it's actually less used in informal and day-to-day conversations. I expect that's the case, right? It's more formal, it's more polite, it's people you're less close with. The people that you're closer with, you can just, dispense with the formalities, so to speak. I see for the new learners, it's less important. Well, that makes me sad. I had a week planned a few weeks from now where I was going to look at a dissertation on Tarof. That's fine. Let me move this so you can see it. So I have been taking this. I have this dialogue. I knew that I was going to forget Baba Chitorand, right? That the polite they. So I made a card. And what I'm doing is I am using the format from Gabriel Weiner's Anki format that he used for Fluent Forever. I downloaded that, and I have tons and tons of different types of cards. I'm just using the all-purpose card here. I made one for Baba Chitorand. I might, just to really lock it in, make one for Mama Khuband. And what I'm going to do is go to Audacity, where I've opened this up. I am exporting these.
مامان خوبن.
Maman Khuband. Because I want to get the rise and fall of the voice and all that. So let's see. I'm exporting to MP3. Oh, no, I don't want to export the whole thing. Cancel that. I'm exporting the selected audio to MP3. And yeah. You can't see my face. No, that's 22 minutes ago. To my wife who's watching, Khonamem, I don't understand what you're texting me about, so text me more, please. Clarify. So what I'm doing here is Maman. And I don't really care about the names here. It doesn't matter. I just need to be able to find it. I'm saving it to my Persian Anki audio file. And then going back to Anki, and I might do, even with just transliteration, Maman. Can somebody let me know, native speakers, do you say Mamun at all, or is that not? So, and then I'm going to give myself word blanked out or missing. I don't need a picture for this right now. Some of them I'll add pictures in a minute, but this I don't. Back, single word or phrase, no context, and the full sentence. So let's see. I have Maman Khuband, and I'll put that under pronunciation.
مامان خوبن.
Maman Khuband, and I'm just making the card, right? This is what I'm doing. So back, single word, no phrase, full sentence. Why try to work out those A's when I can just copy? Whoops, Maman Khuband. And I'm going to highlight for myself that it's the and that I'm listening for. That's all I need right now. I like to add images, but not super necessary here. Make two cards, yes. Let me just add that. So this is part of the process for me. I end up hearing it. I will use Anki on the subway when I don't have signal and whatever. I'll be listening to it. And I'm trying to not just look at the flashcards, which is the temptation to just keep looking at them, but I'm trying to actually do the work, and it sucks because you have to stop and focus and do the work. But I'm trying to do the work to generate the thing. So I'll see Momon, and I'll see, I might have not given myself the English in that one, which is a mistake, but I can, I can go back and look at those cards. I can edit those cards when I see them. But I'll see like, how's your mother? I could put like, what's it? Magic Mike. What's the guy's name? Is it Channing Tatum? Who's the guy, the actor who, you know, is relatively famous Boston for saying like, how's your mother? I could just put him as my mnemonic if I wanted to. All right, see, how will I move forward once I've gone through this beginner's book? Harry Potter books next. I don't like Harry Potter. It's a bold statement. I don't much care for Harry Potter. I guess I could. I mean, it is at the appropriate level, but I didn't like it in English, and I don't think I would want to read it in anything else. The plan is go talk to people, and then beyond that, there's tons and tons of like podcasts. There's television. There's BBC. RFI, Radio France International, has a Farsi stream, and I think it's I'm trying to use it with that kind of thing. I may see if there's other books. Right now, my goal is just to be able to speak like a textbook, like phrase book level Farsi, and I might just be happy with that, honestly. There's some languages I really want to dive into. I'm thinking about taking the C2 exam in French this summer. But for other languages, it's like I just want to get around and that's it. Like Italian, maybe I'll read books or whatever, but like I mostly just like going to Florence and Rome and, you know, being able to order a coffee. Let's see what the next one is I have here.
بد نیستن ممنون.
Bad nistam, mamnun. I don't need to memorize that. I know that.
شما چطورید؟ خانواده خوبن؟
So, شما چطوری؟ خانواده خوبن. Easy. I wanted to remember یک کم خسته است and خسته است they have here.
همه خوبن مرسی. خب احمد چطوره؟
یک کم خسته است.
از چی؟
So, یک کم خسته است. I'll add that. Because that gets me a couple of things. That gets me a little bit. That gets me tired. That gets me all of these things. So, let's see. Yek kam haste hasteast. I just do the whole thing right there. It's still in Persian audio. So that's fine. And then I'll add that. Oh, what did I do? Is this the last one I did? Maman Khub? Did I? Let me finish this card because that seems incomplete. And then I'll... Mama, how's your mother? Anything to make it slightly more interesting. Added. Oh, this is keeping... I see what I'm doing. I'm inadvertently... It keeps some stuff. Oh, well. I'll have multiples. I can delete one. So what did I say? Yek, kam, haste, asked. And what I might do is make like 2 or 3 of these cards. I could do a close deletion card. I wonder if I can do that here. This is like the lazy close deletion. Let me do that. Let me do yek, kam, haste, asked. And I'm just going to delete the yek cam first, and then maybe I'll do the chasteas. I'll make 2 cards out of this. And I can always just bury them if I remember it. So let's do this. Extra info, pronunciation.
یک کم خسته است.
Yek cam chastast. Chastast. And that's, I'll need to keep listening to that a few times. So I have front, picture, I don't care. I could do a picture of tired. I don't think I need it. Once I get into words that I need to really remember, I'm going to need to do that. And for vocabulary words, I'll just do picture cards. I'll get to one of those very soon. Maybe I'll do that for chaste. I don't think I need chaste. I remember Rosetta Stone's picture of like the woman on the tennis court, and she was like very tired, and then the guy blowing his nose because you also learn Maries and that. Like this stuff kind of sticks. The problem with Rosetta Stone is the pictures are the same for everything, and so I now vividly remember every picture in Rosetta Stone, but maybe not the words in the various languages. Let's see, full sentences. So yek kam chaste asked. A little tired. I'll add that. And it is keeping the backs here, which is annoying. I thought I was doing the same kind of thing for Hebrew the other day, and I thought I was having like duplicates.
از چی؟
As chi from what? I don't think I need that.
از زندگی؟
As zindagi from life. I remember zindagi, zan zindagi.
نه بابا از کار خیلی تنبله.
I remember tamba. So this so far, like, I don't have a lot that I need to do here.
Here are the answers to the questions I asked you earlier.
Okay, here are the answers to the questions that I asked you earlier. I don't care about that. So, this is track 17. This is, lesson, I guess, chapter 2, lesson 1. I had like 3 things that I wanted to add from there. The rest, I'm pretty sure I know and remember. It's fairly basic stuff. So I may go back through. I may come down and see, Chosholam, Gorosneam. So let's see. What's the next bit of audio? They don't have anything marked for this, and I'm going to get to something, CD 20. So there's a few things in between. But let me just, let's see. من بزیدی هستم خوش وقتم منم همینطور خوب حالتون چطوره خوبم مرسی شما چطوری بد نیستم ممنون easy stuff این آقا کیه easy اون پدرمه پدرتون ماشاءالله خیلی خوش تیپند that I'm gonna add let me see I'm gonna take a look at the chat Percy Jackson instead of Harry Potter that's fine crime novels when learning Icelandic is like I mean that's what to read in Icelandic right like So let's see. How many endangered languages have I studied? Not a lot, and it depends on how you define them. I am interested in more, but the problem too is resources are really hard to come by. And I have a video coming out soon that's sponsored by iTalki, and I mentioned that they do have people who speak under-resourced languages, but it's hard without like lesson plans and everything. Let's see, B1, B2 French learners. I'm finding Zadig by Voltaire to be really doable. I have that on my shelf. I was just reading How to Read a Book. Irony is not lost on me. It's a great book, though, by Mortimer Adler. It is really, really good. It's how to read with much more depth and like how to really get the most out of reading. And I was looking at their recommended reading list at the end, which is like the entire Western canon. But they mentioned Voltaire, and I realized we have Voltaire on our shelf. We have Zadig and Candide, and it seems pretty doable. See, fun fact: when Farsi speakers type Farsi in English, they usually write the sound ch as k, x, yeah, as kh, yeah. Laxness erasure, laxness erasure. At first, I thought that was Farsi. I was like laxness. Erasur okay خوبم خوب okay so mashallah خیلی خوش تیپن that's what I want that's what I'm gonna get so let's open up let's see what is that track 20 open with Audacity it's free it's open source you're here for this all right I'm enjoying it too all right you like KH better than X I like X is one character. KH, I like it for Hanukkah, but for Yiddish, I like KH for other things. I like just one character.
این آقا کیه؟
Oh, so close. Okay, this should be Padarame.
اون پدرمه.
Okay, so this should be.
پدرتون ماشاءالله خیلی خوش تیپن.
Man, God bless him. Your dad is so handsome. You know what, like, I feel like if I can work that into a conversation in Farsi. That's going to be my goal, to convincingly and correctly, just work that sentence in. All right, let's see. What was that sentence again? Let's hear it.
پدرتون ماشاءالله خیلی خوشتیپن.
Okay, پدرتون ماشاءالله خیلی خوشتیپند. So I'm trying to remember خوشتیپ. That's fine. And mashallah, so maybe I'll do both of these. So پدرتون. Did she say mashallah right after that? I think she did. Mashallah. I'm not going to add an H. I like Y there. خیلی خوش. Let's do the caret here. خوش تیپ. And. So that'll be the whole sentence. I should start with the back, but let's see. Boop. So I'll blank out mashallah. I will add my audio. And keep it going. And this is part of how I study. Doing this alone is probably going to help me lock in some of these. And then the next step is going to be, for the ones
پدرتون ماشاءالله خیلی خوشتیپن.
for the ones that aren't locked in like this, I will actually use the Anki deck. That's Farsi again. Your father. Mashallah. How do we want to... They have it translated here. How do they say this? May God preserve him, but then they say it's to ward off the evil eye. So it's like kinahura. May God preserve him. I love the interplay between Khoda and Allah, like just in different idioms. And I'm trying to remember khoshtip as like, a good type. So why don't I just copy and paste? Let's be efficient. Ya'il. That's Hebrew with a Persian accent. Your father, very handsome. Okay. Add. Now let's do it again. We still have the sound. So, why did this not keep here? Pedaratun. What do we got? Number 3. I was inconsistent with my use of SH or whatever, but I like it this way. I like the little diacritics the most. Mashallah. What did I say? Khayli Khosh Tipand. And we're going to do Khosh Tip for this one. May God preserve him. Is very handsome. Copy the whole thing. That's why I got to start with the back. Oh, I've been making these probably not the best. I'm going to have to edit some of these as I go through and study them because the back should be the actual missing word. Womp womp. Okay, I've made like 2 or 3 wrong. That'll be fine. We're going to do khoshtip. So khoshtip. This will work anyway. I really don't care. Is very handsome. All right, let's do it. Let's add it. And to my lovely wife who's watching, you can text me and let me know if it's still nap time. I'm going to keep studying if it is, but if you need baba, then, I don't know conditionals yet, so I can't say if Bacheyamo needs baba. Also, by the way, there's a lot of research on interlanguage as this concept of like, it's not that you have imperfectly acquired your target language, it's that you spend time in a range that's referred to as an interlanguage, where you might start entirely in your native language and then work your way towards understanding your target language. I like code switching as part of interlanguage for myself. I think it's fun. Your mileage, again, may vary, but I find that is really useful for me to say something like what I just did, whereas, like, if Bacheyemo needs Baba, then I'll wrap up. Otherwise, I'm going to continue to Farsi mikhunam. Okay, going to continue Farsi khundan. Does Farsi use the same kinship system as English? As far as I can tell, mostly. But I we'll get there soon. We'll get there soon. Maybe in a week or two. I saw, like, skimming in chapter 6 or 7 is where that is. But as far as the, like, nuclear family, the Khanevade, there's Baba, Mama, or Mamun, Mamon. There's Khohar, Barodar. I keep wanting to say Tinoket, but it's not Tinok and Tinoket, it's Bache. Pesar, which is, I think, cognate with fils. Maybe I'm wrong. Somebody tell me. And Dukhtar for daughter, which is definitely cognate with daughter. So telephone jack, telephone shama. So they're going into Izafa here. I don't know that I'm going to need any of this stuff. These exercises, I could make cards for myself. I'm going to make one for... I don't need Le Boss. For those of you who speak Farsi, let me know in the chat if Le Boss is dress, as in, like, your manner of clothing, right? It's not a dress. Like, a dress would be pirohan. Please let me know. I think I'm correct in this, that a dress that somebody wears is a pirohan, which is also related to, like, long shirts and so on, and that libas is your manner of dress, your style of dress, but not a dress, like vestido or robe or whatever. We got boo, which is smell. I do not remember boo. So I am going to open up a window in Chrome. I'm going to look for an image. I'm going to pick an image. I'm going to pick a really ridiculous image, and I'm going to add to my Anki deck Booyah Bad, right? I think that's probably the easiest boo to add. So let's do picture words. Ooh, I have something going on in here. Okay, word is boo. Let's do Booyah Bad. And that's all I need. I do not need a sound there. And I'm going to see if I can just... Can I just drop this in here? There you go. Booyah Bad. I could record myself speaking it, but I don't think that's all that useful. So this is really all I need here. Gender, personal correction, connection, whatever. I mentioned, like, ghosts can't smell. I'm probably going to remember that. So boo is, like, reinforced there, but Booyah Bad. Booyah Bade. So I'll add that one. Let's see, what else do we have? Moo as hair. And I said I wanted to remember that with a hairy ox, so I am going to do that right now. I'm going to do 2 pictures. Let's see. Boop, boo doo 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 doo. Doo 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 doo. Uh-oh, it's a licensable picture, but I'm not actually doing anything with this. By the way, hair, I looked up, so they teach Muye Boland as long hair. That's one of the things in the exercise here. And Boland, I looked up, it is cognate with Bourgogne, as in like Boeuf Bourguignon, the French highlands. Long and high and tall. It goes all the way back to Proto-Indo-European, and they separate, and have their own histories. But French Bourgogne, as in the Burgundy region of France, so the color burgundy in English, is related to Boland, which is long hair in Farsi, which is just delightful to me. All right, see, libas is literally clothing, and it's gender neutral, so you can be wearing ugly clothes. Libas is zesht. I need to remember zesht. Rarely used to address the appearance as a whole. Okay. Cool. And I don't see any text from Zanam. So, Chaim Shali, Junam, let me know if I need to go. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep studying and learning. So, Mu, let me give myself another mnemonic for Mu. I don't want to think that it means ox. Let me not choose a picture that'll be offensive, but this should be enough for me to remember. Man, you type in hairstyle into Google and you get like white guys with haircuts that look like their barber doesn't like them. Poor guy. Okay, Mu. I might just do Boland as well. Muye Boland, because why not? And like these will just work for me. Okay, somebody's still fast asleep, so I am good to keep studying. Let's go with really long hair here. Down to here, down to there. Down to where it stops by itself. Okay, anybody leave me the reference in the chat. Muye Boland. That'll help me remember that Boland is not like tall or whatever. I seem to be just leaving dots all over this PDF. Okay, Bozorg, I don't have to remember. I know that. Meshki, I liked Bur was blonde. Chic, super easy. Meshki, I'm going to remember. Bur, I don't know that I'm going to remember. What's gray hairs Dragandumi? Is that, can somebody tell me? Or I can just pull up Google Translate. Why not? Gray hair, typing that into Google Translate and typing for Persian. Muye. Oh, they don't say it. Hokeshtari. Okay. I don't know what I was thinking of. By the way, this is my long hair search here. So what did I say? Bur. I like that. Kiki Palmer. All right. Moo for moose. Oh, that's a good one. Moo for moose as a mnemonic. Like hair moose, not a moose with a lot of hair. What? Give me this. There we go. What is this? Muye bur? Muye bur. Let's see. She's sleeping. Ooh, I'm being asked questions about geopolitics. This is a linguistics live stream, so ask me in Farsi. Teach me those words in Farsi, and I'll get it. Jogandumi is trains of gray, white, and black, and khakestari is when the whole hair is gray. Okay, Jogandumi. All right, let's see. What other words we got? By the way, I might want to make a video for those of you who are interested on sort of antagonistic speech, including like lawyers, cross-examination, and so on. One of the things that people do is they use definite articles, which builds in what's called a structural presupposition. And then they ask you a question like, I don't know, they ask you a question that uses the, and you have to then answer the question on their terms. Which is a game that I don't care to play. So, Jamal, maybe if you want, I'll do a live stream later on, geopolitics, but that's not the focus of this channel. I would recommend the Modern Warfare Institute podcast if you want to understand more about, tunnel warfare and so on. I would recommend just reading a variety of news sources if you want to understand better what's going on. And I have a couple of history books that I can recommend as well from a variety of perspectives. But this is not the time for me to give a quick and simple soundbite for a very complicated situation that, frankly, I don't think a lot of people harassing people in YouTube comments have enough information to even understand a discussion of. So, back to language. And I'm going to remember muyebur because of that. So, Shamo Zan Hesti. So this is the. By the way, we're on to chapter 3 because that's basically all there was for me to look at in flashcards in chapter 2. So unit 3, Kujoy Hastin, and we have what is this? CD 23. Let's see if there's vocabulary that I need here. There definitely is, and maybe I'll add audio for this. Let's see. Yeah, I have pronunciation. So I'm just gonna do like Meliate Tunchie is like what's your nationality. So Meliat, that'll be how I memorize Meliat. I'll just put it in the whole sentence. Let's see. Oh, that's number 2. And let me keep an eye on the chat here for a moment. Thank you. I see. Okay. Yeah, I honestly, there's a couple of other people that I could point to as far as having like much more information than I do. There's a professor at the Naval Postgraduate School who does a lot of briefings in the Middle East and so on. But like, I'm here to learn Persian today, despite the death threats. So let's keep this moving a little bit more and end with something nice here. So what do we say? This was track 23, and I think a bunch of these words I don't have fully memorized, so I'm just going to be adding these, and then maybe I'll wind that down from there. So what do we have?
شما زن هستید؟
Are you a woman?
نه.
ملیتتون چیه؟
Okay, meliatitun shie. I guess I could ask Shmo Zan Hastid, but that seems like I can't imagine a scenario in which that's a polite thing to ask. So export selected audio, meliatitun shie. Meliatitun shie. Let's go. So meliat, borrowed from Arabic. Let me see if I can find a picture for nationality. Maybe a passport. But let's see what comes up when I just Google nationality. Ooh, I like this even better. Boom, little global picture fest. I will then add Meliatitun. I need to do this in the order that they're added. That is... they're all still... Okay. Let's get my...
ملیتتون چیه؟
Meliatitun shie. I like having the whole sentence here rather than trying to divide it up. And I'll add that one. And then let's go, let's see. Meliatitun shie beritoniai hastam. Don't need that. Shamo muta'ahalid. I feel like I sound like I'm speaking Arabic here. But that's what? Married? Yeah. So let's do that. Okay. No. Audacity. Speaking of Audacity. Okay.
شما متأهلید؟
متأهلید.
شما متأهلید؟
شما متأهلید. Okay. That one I'm going to need work on. So export selected audio. متأهل. Go over here. متأهل. Married. Nasui. Well, I typed in Mota'ahel, transliterated instead of married, and I did not get any pictures that make any sense. Oh, these are wonderful. Let's see. Well, keep it easy. Keep it simple. One of the things that I'll say, especially if you are on the ADHD side of things, is if you do use something like this, don't look at every picture. Like I looked for married, and I got this. And these are all great, but what happens with me, what happens with people in my life who have ADHD is like, we'll look at this one and go, that's good. Ooh, that one's good. And oh, this one's good. And then we kind of start scrolling down and seeing like what all the pictures are. First one that's good enough, just take it and keep it moving. Otherwise, you're going to look at everybody's wedding photos for the next 3 hours and then wonder like where the rest of the day went. Let's see. Date added, last open, last date modified. Can I get like time modified? Come on. Okay. متأهل.
شما متأهلید؟
شما متأهلید. Let's add that one. And this is basically like what I would recommend if you're doing this at home. I do these on the subway then, or during nap time or whatever. Like I pick the things that are going to be hardest for me to remember. Everything else, I'll just keep reading the book and listening to the audio. Bale, خانمتون کجای هستن? So she's also British. I don't think where she's from is important. Oh, I see in the chat, Chai and Conversation podcast. I have a love-hate relationship with them. The first 20 lessons, I increasingly just really hated Matt because he repeats things wrong. But the fact that he repeats them wrong and I want to correct it helped lock some of that stuff into my brain. So I actually do like the Chai and Conversations podcast. It's just I get so frustrated with Matt because he doesn't differentiate between am and an, and has a little bit of an American thing of going like yam. Like I just get so frustrated. But I do remember some of those words. So mahale tavalodetun kujost. What's your place of birth? I mean, I feel like these are maybe not the politest way to be interrogating people, but it's good questions.
بله.
خانومتون کجایی هستن؟
اونم بریتانیاییه.
محل تولدتون کجاست؟
Mahale tavalodetun kujost. So I could say mahale tavalodam. Mahale tavalodam. Chicago bud, right? Or is it is or was? I don't know. I don't even know in English. My birthplace was, my birthplace is. They seem both fine. Mahal. So Mahal is a place like Taj Mahal. Tavalod, birthplace. And Tavalod, Jashne Tavalod is a birthday party. So Tavalod is clearly something I'm going to need. Mahale Tavalod. Let's see if I can find a good picture for this. Birthplace. I'm going to get like birthplace of the blues. Birthplace of... Well, this is weird, but I like it. This is from the Noun Project, which I may have to look into. See what that is. It's birthplace icon. That is so creepy. I love it. Mahale Tavalod.
محل تولدتون کجاست؟
Mahale Tavalodetun kujost. Mahale Tavalodam. I guess in New York. Okay. Man, Chicago. Nice. Okay. I don't know the Noun Project. I see in the chat you like the Noun Project. I gotta check it out. Random question: have I ever studied Cantonese for like 2 hours? I like Pop Up Cantonese podcast. I like them a lot. But the Mandarin that I speak is I need Mandarin more, and I'm not as firm with Mandarin as with other languages, and so Cantonese is I just like when you're like I'm like it messes me up. And I see there was a question about the bookcase somewhere. Where did that go? Okay, very casually. Chicago, Bedonia, Omadam. Nice. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to check out the Noun Project. This seems cool. At some point, I'll have a bookshelf tour, but that's going to require going to multiple rooms. My wife and I have a lot of books. Zanam, Oman, right? Mo, what do I say? Ziad, Moheli. What's many? What's a lot? I'm like harbe. Can I say Kheli Kitab? Dorim or something? Like, is that? I'm gonna get there, but today is not my day for some of this. Okay, Mahale Tavalodam, whatever it was. He has London. What are your hobbies? That's Sargarmi Hotun Chie. Let's get that one.
سرگرمی هاتون چیه؟
Sargarmi Hotun Chie. I want to say it faster, and that's my problem. I need to just take my time and enjoy the words. Sargarmi hotunchie. Kheli ziyad. Oh, that works. Okay. Yes. Mo kheli kitab darim. I'm trying to add, I was like, why can't I think of the other words that go in there? And it's just because there aren't any. Mo kheli kitab darim. Dar apartemane mo kheli kitab darim. I feel like if I say mo there, it's like we have a lot of books, but so I can drop that, right? What did I have here? Sargarmi ho. I'm just gonna leave it there. Sargarmi ho. Hobby, by the way, is related to a hobby horse historically, which is why in Yiddish it's like still a little horse. It's like a ferdlich. This will do. Again, satisficing with a picture that is good enough. It does not have to be perfect. It just has to work. So sargarmi ho. And the sentence will be sargarmi hotunchie. Sargarmi hoi. Sargarmi hoyam. I'm guessing it gets the ya. Sargarmi hoyam. Well, he's going to have reading here, which I should probably...
سرگرمی هاتون چیه؟
And what does he have? Varzesh, right? Exercise. Musiki, varzesh, those are easy. Motale. That one I need to learn, motale. So let's see. Sargarmi hotunchie.
موسیقی، ورزش، مطالعه،
Motale. Now, I have to remember this is list intonation,
مطالعه،
but otherwise that's fine. Motale. It's like layer, right? Motale. Motale. Let me see. Just for fun, when I Google for reading, I'm gonna look for reading Persian. Old Persian. Ooh, this looks fun. Persian academic reading and writing. This looks like some fun stuff to do later. And this is exactly what I was hoping to get something like. Come on, University of Cambridge. I want an old-timey Persian. Yeah. Mota le'e. Now, even just the process of going through this process and talking you all through it is something that is helping me learn. And then using Anki later, motale'e is going to help further. But this is stuff that I talked about a couple of weeks ago. Now I'm locking it in, and by next week or the week after, it'll be fully locked in as I'm working on the new stuff. So let's see if there's anything else here. Nochost, Vazir. I don't need to remember that, and I already do remember it because it was such a weird thing to teach early on that I remember it. Sargarmi hom. Oh, you use the Sargarmi hom. Sargarmi hom. I guess it has to be plural. I could just say sargarmiam. Motale'e. Asked, or a. That should work. I like working this out here, so then when somebody asks me, I can do it. Do I think I could find more interesting images by looking up the word in Farsi? Let's find out. Can I spell it in Farsi? Can I? Let's see. Motale'e. Let me switch. I have a little Farsi QWERTY. Just make it easy. Farsi. So what did we say? Motale'e. Where is that? That's down here. And I hear somebody stirring in the other room, so I'll probably wrap up very soon. Motale'e. So I guess I'm going to have to use like a shift and a T. Yeah, mota. And do they do a glottal stop here? It sounds like a glottal stop, but I want it to be like motale'e. Yeah, these are good pictures. I like the Persian sort of old-timey picture, but for mnemonics, like this is a great one right here. The mug on the stack of books or the baby reading. That's great. Those would all work. I see in the chat, use the Persian layout for yourself, Persian standard layout. Nothing wrong with that. I'm just trying to get as fast as I can, up to speed as fast as I can, and I am cheating. I am using QWERTY for my writing in Persian. I am using transliteration for my learning the words. Like, I'm just trying to get the words in my head because I don't plan on like epistolary correspondences in Persian. What I plan on is trying to talk to people on the street in Tehran, and then friends of the family. Dusto ye khunevadem, like dusthoye khunevadem. Is that right? Somebody let me know. Friends of my family. I don't know. Same cookie cutter conversations. You'll almost never ask somebody about my hobbies in Farsi. Yeah, but I'll ask them. I'll say, Sargarmi hoya tunchie. And they'll say, oh, I see, you learned from a textbook. Okay, Mot Shaker, I learned that. So that's a good review for today. And then later I'll probably go and put some of these in there. Let's see. Oh, I learned Khosh Ru is friendly. I need to, that's in the exercise. So Khosh Ru, I'm going to add Khosh Ru. Dust is friend or friends. Dust Vashna, okay. That's nice. Dust Vashna is another way of saying that. Khosh Ru. So, that's like good Ru. People who are good Ru. I like it. So I could try Khosh Ru in here. Let's see. Khosh Ru. Khosh Ru. Did I mean Khosh Ru? I did. It seems like, is there a famous person named Khosh Ru? Because it seems like there is. Oh, did I mean Khosh Ru? I did. Is there a famous flautist named Khosh Ru? I'm going to check this out before next week. This is going to be great. People are interested in the geopolitics stream. You're actually in luck. I am putting together another channel. Now that I'm starting to get the hang of this one, I'm putting together another one. And that's with some friends and colleagues. And we will be talking about culture. We will be talking about language. We will be talking about diversity and inclusion. We will be talking about leadership. We will be talking about cross-cultural competence and communication. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have videos, and we're also going to have podcasts. So that's the plan for 2024. You heard it here first. We will probably be discussing geopolitics as well, but I'm not trying to edge into like the Caspian Report and real life lore territory on YouTube. Khushru is not a common word, at least not in a Tehran accent. Okay, good to know. So I won't bother with it. How would you say somebody's friendly, kind, friendly person? So friendly, right? My new friend, Duste no eman, right? Duste no am, can I say that? Is friendly. Kheli. I'm guessing is Dusti. Is that a thing that I could say? I'll wait for the chat. I know there's a bit of a delay here. And maybe that'll be my last thing. I see in the chat, in the exercise here, my hobbies are music and reading. Sargarmi ham. موسیقی و مطالعه هستند, I'm guessing, because it's plural. I never know, because it's not animate, but it's abstract. Khungarm, so warm khun, or merabun, kheli merabun for very friendly. Okay, yeah, so meraban, so like from Arabic, merabun, and khungarm. What is khun? Merabun. And maybe I have a mehmune mehrabun when I have people over. Okay. Well, I think this has been a good hour and a half. I have learned a lot. Hopefully you've either learned or enjoyed the process here. And just real quick, a review. This is what it's going to look like when I actually use this. So I don't know why my mouse wants to... whenever it's over the what's it called? The Adobe. It wants to do this, but this is what it looks like when we actually do this. I have my little Anki deck, and so I have Baba, and I'd say Chetarand.
بابا چطورن؟
Baba Chetarand. So good. Maman Khuban.
مامان خوبن؟
Let me edit that one so it's actually good. Maman is your... Ooh, still in Farsi. Is your mother good? That's Hebrew. Let me put it in just regular QWERTY. Okay. Boop. Close.
مامان خوبن؟
Okay, perfect. Maman Khuban, good. Maman Khuban.
مامان خوبن؟
Yekkem chaste است, right? I'm trying to say yekkem, a little tired.
یکم خسته است.
Fine. پدرتون ماشاءالله خیلی خوشتیپند.
پدرتون ماشاءالله خیلی خوشتیپن.
ماشاءالله خیلی خوشتیپند. Same thing, but I want خوشتیپند.
پدرتون ماشاءالله خیلی خوشتیپن.
Khun garm is warm-blooded, not cold-blooded. I love it. So it's not sang-froid. Bouye bad, stinky smell. Chetoran,
بابا چطورن؟
got it. پدرتون ماشاءالله خیلی خوشتیپند. I don't know which one I did here.
پدرتون ماشاءالله خیلی خوشتیپن.
Right, I wanted to get mashallah out of there. So let me get that out of there. The back should be the single word. So I'm going to correct all this. But these get more interesting when they're not like back to back.
پدرتون ماشاءالله خیلی
Which happens the
خوشتیپن.
more the more words you add, the more you use, they start spreading out a little bit more. Khoshtip, handsome.
پدرتون ماشاءالله خیلی خوشتیپن.
I could probably add a picture for that.
بابا چطورن؟
Bobo Chitoran. So I'm reviewing this. I think I have it only on like 10 words or something, so I'm going to add more. So Khun Garm, we have a lot of conversation. Meraban works for friendly. Khun blood. I should have known that. I think I made a flashcard for that like years ago. Did I learn languages I actually mastered this way? This is kind of a new approach for me, building on what I've learned. So I'm planning on taking the French C2 exam. This is not how I did it. This is how I would have done it had I started that way. I'm learning Hebrew and Farsi and a handful of other languages this way now, and it's going much faster than French or Chinese did. Dustane is friendly. I asked a hard question, it looks like. So Meraban is kind. Khungarm seems good.
پدرتون ماشاءالله خیلی خوشتیپن.
Let me know in the chat if Khungarm means like gregarious as well, if it has that sort of implication that you're, outgoing and warm. Pederatun, mashallah, khayli khoshtipan.
پدرتون ماشاءالله خیلی خوشتیپن.
Yakkam khaste ast.
یکم خسته است.
Yakkam khaste ast. Chetaran, so baba chetaran,
بابا چطورن؟
maman khuban,
مامان خوبن؟
maman khuban. And I'm trying to match the intonation here. Maman khuban.
مامان خوبن؟
Okay. Khoshtip, so handsome.
پدرتون ماشاءالله خیلی خوشتیپن.
Notice how many times we've heard these sentences now. Like it's this kind of passive, comprehensible input, right? We know all the words. We're focusing on one thing. Mashallah. Padaratun. Mashallah. Khayli khoshtipand.
پدرتون ماشاءالله خیلی خوشتیپن.
I see it's like asking what is in English friendly, amicable, kind, and so on. Yeah, okay. Fair. Okay, so on khayli dostane est raftaresh. Okay. Booyah bad. Stinky. All right, done. I will do more at a time in the future, but this is just a nice way of going through it, and I don't want to have you all sit through this. I think it's time. We've done over an hour and a half. So the studying. Hi, Professor Lyon. Good to see you. Studying went well today. Chosh gozasht. Chosh gozasht. Is that? Let me wrap that up. They were trying to teach me that. Ooh, so many desktops, so many screens. So we learned that in Achar Hafte Chosh gozasht. Yeah, Chosh gozasht. right? Would I say khundane farsi khosh gozasht? And in the chat, I'll wrap up answering a couple of questions and then say goodbye to you all. So let me go back to, here we go. Actually, a weird question. You know how English WNR, there are people with speech impediments that confuse them. Yeah, sometimes a secondary articulation. They're also very closely, like they sound similar. Are there sounds in other languages that English doesn't have that people get confused with? Yes. Yes, there are. I should look into that to give you a more specific answer, but I know that the answer is yes. And I know that, children in Spain, for instance, may have speech pathologists work with them if they can't trill their R's, ra. I know that, there's a variety of different things that cross-linguistically are like that, but they do tend to be sort of rhotic and liquid kind of things that give people problems. All right, so let's see. Khosh gozasht. Merci. Kheli kheli mamnoon. Mutshakharem. Khodafez. Thank you all for everything. Thank you for your time, and thanks for giving feedback and guidance. Thanks for learning with me, and hope you enjoyed. I have a new video coming out this week. I'll be talking about Quebec French and doing my best to speak it as well. And I also speak French, just like hexagonal metropolitan French in the video, so you can evaluate. Instead of just criticizing polyglots, I actually, speak something. So look for that, and hopefully you enjoy it. And next week we'll do the same thing. We'll do Learn Persian with me. Charam, right? Number 4. So looking forward to it. See you all soon. Don't forget, if you like stuff, share with people, encourage them to subscribe. It does help the channel. Encourage them to leave comments. It does help the channel. And like I said, I want to get to like 100,000 or more subscribers in the next few months and keep making better and more interesting videos. So have a good night. Wish you all the best, and enjoy your, I guess today's Yakshanbe. So enjoy. Thanks again. And end.